Hello, Merry Meet. First of all, let me say thank you for all your kind comments on my last video. I really appreciate it. I will go through them and reply to them in the forum under the video. Eventually, I'm just notoriously slow at those replies, and I'm really sorry about that. But I do really appreciate your comments. Also, I have been asked if I had changed my hair. No, I really haven't. It's all there. My braid's a little frayed now because I haven't bothered to re-braid it since last night. So this is my sleeping braid because it's still fairly early here and it's just before Christmas. I'm a bit sluggish. So yeah, no, the only thing I ever change is that I trim my bangs. I have to do that regularly, but I think what made a lot of people think so is that my hair was loose. I don't wear it loose a lot, but sometimes when I'm just sitting in the morning and I haven't gotten to making some hairstyle with it yet, I'll just let it hang loose. It's good for the roots. Anyway, all that aside, it's time to review a book. And the book I want to review is The Awakened Psychic by Carla Ambrose. So let me first from the start say that it's a very pretty book. I really like this cover. And my camera, which is a pretty shitty one, I should get a new one, isn't really doing it any justice. But it's this bright turquoise with this very nice dark purple lotus on it. But even if the cover is pretty, is the book any good? Well, no, it really isn't. But let me get to the index first, and we can discuss why I didn't like it in a minute. So, we have an introduction, which basically goes on and on about how the author is a great psychic and you should all learn from her. Then you have discover hidden psychic talents, empathic abilities, premonitions, intuitive hunches, more psychic abilities and practices, divination techniques, psychic adventures, the logical mind and the creative mind, psychic self-defense and cleaning, ghosts and spirits, ethics, protocols, responsibilities and readings, standards, challenges and being psychic, conclusion and a bibliography. Okay. What this book basically presents itself as is a book to start developing and working with psychic abilities. And it does that, sort of. The problem is that it uses a lot of time just going on and on about this author's personal definitions. The thing is, within the paranormal, there's a lot of things that aren't that well defined. For example, precognition and premonition. What really is the concise difference? We can't agree on that. And it doesn't help that she goes on and on with her definition, because that doesn't help you to start developing psychic abilities. It doesn't help you with really anything. It just goes on and that. And there's several sections where that's what she do. She goes on and on how this thing is different from this thing when it isn't a particularly important argument. I mean, it's a little bit the same as when we start discussing what exactly is witchcraft. We all have our own definitions and we have a sort of idea what it is, but we can't really completely define it. Some will define it as practical folk magic. Some will define it as nature-based magic. And basically some will say it's all magic. It really isn't a concise idea here. And just going on and on, that is an interesting discussion, but it doesn't really fit well with the theme of the book. Excuse me, time for a sip of tea. My mother has what are they called? Heat pump? It's anyway, it makes the air here so dry that I find when I'm talking a lot, I just have to have something to drink because my throat completely dries out. Anyway, the other problem is that the author is very, very fond of telling us just what great a psychic she is. And okay, it might be just that I'm Norwegian and sort of raised with the law of Jante, which isn't really a good thing in itself, but it gets irritating. Like she makes an example, oh, she was at that class and everybody they were struggling with the lessons, but then she swooped in and she did it perfectly. And that irritates me. It's okay to be confident, but when you sort of tout yourself as this big, big, big psychic, and then also she constantly says, oh, and then there's this and this technique, but if you want to know more about that, you should read my other book, so and so. Yeah. Then I sort of feel like it's a sales scam thing. And the last thing that really, really annoys me with this book is that she has a lot of... Basically, there's a lot of things that are very much up to individual interpretation, that she's very, very dogmatic, but this is the way it is. Yep, this is the way it is. For example, she feels that it's wrong to use some kinds of psychic abilities to learn, for example, lottery numbers, because then karma will punish you and you will actually rot while you're still alive. Literally, that's what she's saying. You will get extremely ill and you will basically just fall apart. Okay, then... I mean, it's completely okay if she wants to believe this. Go, by all means. And it isn't easy to read out the lottery numbers. But, for example, my theory is that we all use magic all the time for all sorts of things. Any basically wish or intention is in itself magic. It's just that it becomes more effective when we learn how to control and direct it. So when there's so many people wishing and hoping and praying for these lottery numbers, it just becomes this mess of energy, and it's very difficult to cut through that mess and actually get the correct numbers. But she has her opinions, and her opinions she presents extremely dogmatically. And I don't think that's a good thing for a beginner's book. So, is there anything good about this book? Yes, there are some nice exercises in there. They are fairly simple. They don't require a butt-ton of tools or the like, and you can basically do them with a bit of training and a bit of time. And I like that. I like exercises, especially in beginner books, that doesn't require hour upon hour upon hour of work, because a lot of people just don't have that time in this modern world. And secondly, that doesn't require a lot of tools, because a lot of people just don't can afford that. So I like the exercises. The exercises are good, and some of them I might even start using. For example, this very simple white light thing that she has in there, pretty good. Most of the book is her just going through a list of common psychic abilities that she defines by her terms as being the only definition that ever existed. But the exercises are good, though they are written in a bit of an odd way. She can start writing instructions for an exercise and then go off on a tangent with a story about how she used it at one time and then continue the instructions, which gets a bit confusing, but all in all the exercises are good. Generally though, there's really no reason to hunt down this book. If you can find it dirt cheap in a bargain bin or something, it can be worth it for the exercises because they are good. But otherwise, I would just give this a pass. There's so many books about developing your psychic abilities out there, and this just is a pretentious mess. And that is my review of The Awakened Psychic by Kayla Ambrose. At least the cover is pretty. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day and blessed be.